Page 2 now, the dead on arrival Obama budget. Thank goodness it has no pulse. It's a progressive liberal wish list covered in red ink. And of course, it's replete with hundreds of billions of dollars in tax increases, more than 20 in all, totaling more than $2 trillion over the next decade. It's the true Obama legacy, isn't it? Higher taxes and record-breaking debt. However, for the White House Director of Management and Budget, it's perfectly acceptable to tax and spend more than any government in human history.
The budget is a blueprint for the president's vision for middle-class economics in the 21st century. This means helping working families by making their paychecks go further, preparing Americans to earn higher wages, and making America the place where businesses decide to innovate, grow, and create good, high-paying jobs. The budget shows that we don't have to choose between investing in the middle class and being fiscally responsible. First, because we cannot afford a return to mindless austerity, the budget proposes to end sequestration, fully reversing it for domestic priorities in 2016, matched by equal dollar increases for defense. By replacing sequestration with a combination of smart spending cuts, program integrity measures, and common-sense loophole closers, the budget makes room for investments in our economy and our national security.
Now, the latest Obama budget calls for tax hikes on so-called wealthy Americans and for tax credits for the so-called middle class. In other words, redistribution of wealth, plain and simple. By the way, smokers would get burned even more if Obama gets his way. The president's plan would increase taxes on a pack of cigarettes from $1 to nearly $2. Obama calls this practical, not partisan. So, is there any chance Obama will get any of his draconian spending blueprint? Joining me now from Slidell, Louisiana, contributing writer at Independent Journal Review, Kevin Boyd. Kevin, you heard about this reckless austerity that the budget director was referring to. It's interesting. I suppose he's talking about ending sequestration, which is exactly what the Obama budget wants to do when you consider that it's a mind-boggling $4 trillion.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Grant, for having me on your show. It's funny that 500, 600, 700 billion, upward billion-dollar deficits are considered mindless austerity, according to the Obama administration. But we've got record. We're going to have record tax revenue under Obama's budget plan, but we're still running nearly $500 billion deficits. The national debt is over $18 trillion, and we're already at 104% of GDP. Most banks will not even look at a household if their debt-to-income ratio is 80%. The country's debt-to-income ratio is 104%. So I don't know what this mindless austerity Barack Obama is talking about, but obviously they haven't been practicing.
No, and this budget reflects virtually no cuts whatsoever. And the American people understand these numbers. They understand debt-to-income ratio and what it means to be over 100% debt to income. And they understand that the federal government needs to be cut. Yet here we go again with this. You talk about mindless. It's a mindless spending plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The discretionary spending is supposed to go up 7% in Obama. I like to call it Obama's fantasy budget. We just got done fantasy football season. Well, Barack Obama wrote a fantasy budget. We're going to increase spending 7%. According to the Washington Times today, President Obama is going to increase the federal workforce to the largest size since the end of the Cold War. And we're going to we've got all sorts of weird redistribution schemes. We've got the double earner $500 tax credit, which I think is a slap in the face to families where one parent stays at home or single parents. And
yeah, it's it's pure redistribution of wealth. I mean, that's what he's trying to do here, and the American people see through it. And hopefully the Republicans will keep their word, and indeed the budget will be dead on arrival. Now, speaking of the Republicans keeping their word, they made a pledge in November, two major pledges. One was to repeal Obamacare. Of course, we've yet to see that. But the other was to stop Barack Obama on unconstitutional presidential amnesty. And yeah, we've seen some Congress people, we've seen some in the Republican leadership talk a good game so far. We've seen some people in the Senate kind of wobble a little bit. I'm getting the sense here that there's going to be a huge Republican cave on this.
And Graham, you'd be absolutely right. Boehner and McConnell have indicated they're going to wave the white. They want to wave the white flag of surrender on this issue. They want to essentially not even take the battlefield. They're going to fund Department of Homeland Security. They're not going to try to instead, Boehner's going to try a gimmick, which is they're going to sue the White House over the bill. This is something a lot of legal experts say is unconstitutional because Congress has no standing in this issue.
Well, not only that, is the Congress has the remedy right in the Constitution to stop a rogue president. It's called impeachment. For some reason, it's off the table. I don't know why. You know, millions of Americans, tens of millions of Americans want that to happen. They want this president stopped. And really, in the Constitution, there's only one avenue left. But this whole notion of suing the president is absolutely ridiculous because everyone knows, who's ever been to court, that you can litigate things into oblivion. Obama's going to be long gone by the time this lawsuit or any other lawsuit against the president sees the light of day in court.
You're absolutely right, Graham. And also, there's a less drastic remedy than impeachment. It's called passing a bill. It's pass a bill essentially overturning Obama's executive order. Dare him to veto it.
Well, that's a good point, too. The problem is, I think we have such a rogue president, he's going to do whatever he wants anyway. Speaking of rogue, we have some state governments now looking at those lower gas prices and saying, hey, wait a minute. We can't let Americans pay less money at the pump. We need to tax more.
Exactly. We got 11 states looking to raise gas taxes across the country, including there's a proposal here in Louisiana. I don't expect Louisiana's proposal to go anywhere for the simple fact Bobby Jindal's running for president and he doesn't want to sign a tax increase. But we got proposals, and a lot of them, and here's the thing, most of the proposals are being entertained by Republican governors and Republican legislatures. So much for voting Republican to cut taxes.
It's amazing that they would do that to the voters just when the price of gasoline is lower at the pump and Americans are enjoying a break. They want to increase the gas tax. It's simply amazing. It's the rape of Americans. Kevin, thank you. Coming up next, the Supreme Court, the First Amendment, and a murderer as the Daily Ledger continues.